Hello, my people. I hope you're well. My name is Triza Nalumansi, and I do monitoring and evaluation. I started doing monitoring and evaluation. I didn't have the experience as required, but over time I have gained skills while doing the job. Of recent, I decided to enroll for a course in monitoring and evaluation, and I can really tell it has added so much value to me. So I gained knowledge on some concepts that I would love to share with you. Why? Because I know there could be someone who was like me or who is like me, who may be doing the job and is quite stranded, or someone who is out there and keeps wondering, what is monitoring? What is evaluation? Why should I even have a monitoring and evaluation officer in my organization? So I just want to share those few concepts with us here to better understand why it is so important that it is done by each and everyone. Actually, many of us do it on a daily, but we don't know that we are doing monitoring. For example, when you go to the hospital, the first thing they'll do is to check your pressure and monitor, a few vitals. That is monitoring. And then when you have a business, you may actually be doing monitoring, but you do not know how. You keep records of your business. So you are actually doing it. You just need to know why you're doing it so that you do it better. You're going to find out why you should actually invest in it and be intentional about doing monitoring and evaluation. I wanted to give an example of a business like shopkeeping. This shop sells sugar, sells rice, and so many other merchandise. So, as a business person, you need to be able to keep records, daily records, weekly, monthly records of the sales made. Why? Because you need to know how much is this business making for me, and how many sales do I make per week or per month. That way, you're able to know how much you're supposed to stock, in your business. You're supposed to know if you're supposed to have at least more than one person attend to the customers. To define monitoring and evaluation, so monitoring is a routine process of collecting data, analyzing data to track progress or to track performance of a certain project, program, or even a business. So it is routine, meaning that we do it. It can be daily, it can be weekly, it can be monthly, it can be quarterly, it can be annually. Then evaluation, on the other hand, for it is periodic. Okay, so for evaluation, we define it as a periodic assessment of an ongoing or even completed intervention to determine its effectiveness, its efficiency, its relevance, its impact, and even sustainability. When we talk about effectiveness, we're just trying to see if it is achieving the intended outcomes. For efficiency, we are just trying to check if the project to use available resources to achieve the intended outcomes. And then for sustainability, we are trying to look beyond, the project timeline. Will the project results continue even beyond the project? If the project has closed, will the effects from the project continue to be seen even beyond its life cycle? And then when we look at impact, of course, we want to assess the long-term changes that we can attribute to that project or program. And of course, relevance. Relevance, you want to check if the project was actually aligned to the needs of the intended beneficiaries. So evaluation is so important, and it really checks out those 5 aspects that I have mentioned: the relevance, the efficiency, the effectiveness, the impact, and the sustainability. When we get to non-profitable organizations, we operate a lot of projects, and these projects have to do regular monitoring and evaluation. Why is it so? One of the reasons is, of course, you have to track. You have to track progress, towards your objectives. You set out objectives at the beginning, and you need to track progress. You cannot work blindly. You need to know that we are actually making a step towards achieving our intended goals. If you initially set out to maybe meet 200 clients a month, okay? You need to check this month, how many clients did we actually meet? If you met fewer than 200, there you lay a strategy of that will help you to actually achieve your target. And then another reason why we do monitoring and evaluation, it's for accountability purposes. We usually get funding from different donors, and they need to see that their resources that have been invested into the project are actually yielding something. Of course, if someone has put in a lot of money, they need to see what you have used that money for. So we do M&E because we need to be accountable to the stakeholders such as donors, and also to the people who we promised, who we made certain promises to. And then another reason why we do monitoring and evaluation is for learning. If you have data, you're able to see what worked and what did not work. When you know what did not work, you're able to redesign your project, or you're able to just adjust a few things to help you achieve the intended objective. And then maybe another reason why we do monitoring and evaluation is for evidence-based decision making. There are certain decisions that you need to make, but with evidence, and this is gathered through collecting data from different sources. So that data will guide you on which appropriate decision to take. For example, if the data shows that you have a very big number of young girls probably getting pregnant at a young age, you're able to make a decision to bring a project in that area where the number is high. And also, if you've been implementing a project and you realize that the data you've collected is showing you that actually the people do not need it anymore, you may choose to shift to another location. So doing monitoring and evaluation will help you make informed decisions. Another reason why we do monitoring and evaluation is for proper allocation of resources. Remember, you have data that you have collected from different activities. So when you realize that there is an activity which has not worked well, you may need to inject more resources in that activity so that, it also yields a good outcome. And then another reason is you want to identify problems early enough and lay strategies to address those problems. For example, if you had 100 beneficiaries at the start of a program, and during your weekly monitoring, you discover that now only 50 are attending regularly. So it pushes you to start finding strategies to make people come back. If they stopped attending, you will lay strategies to enable them get back on board. So that is why monitoring and evaluation is so key in our day-to-day lives, and that is why we should give it priority in our organizations, in our businesses, so that we can achieve better outcomes. Of course, we shall still look at how to monitor and what tools can enable us do monitoring and evaluation along the way. So, see you next time.